Hello everybody on YouTube, welcome back, welcome me back. Yes, I am back to YouTube 2023. I've been gone for a bit, but that's just cause, YouTube is not as easy as it looks when you want to make it look good, and I want it to look good. Nevertheless, I'm back, and for the video I'm going to talk about today, you already clicked on the video. I watched a lot of movies that came out this year, so I'm going to talk about all of them. 2022, pretty good year for movies. Not the best. I mean, 2019 is going to be hard to beat, but I'd say this is a really cool year for movies. A lot of cool movies that came out. Cool movies that we all saw and either hated or loved. I loved a lot of them. But there's a lot that I didn't see, and, I'll just flash those all around me. I'll get to those before Oscar season. I've got a few ideas cooking for how I want to handle that too in the coming months. Without further delay, let's talk about the movies I did see, and I want to have some fun first, so we're going to talk about the 10 worst movies of 2022 that I saw this year. Kicking off at number 10, The Gray Man by Joe and Anthony Russo, those poopy heads who are so egotistical and up their own asses. I talked about it in this video here, that I just did not like this movie. It was so boring and bland, and there is not a lot to really enjoy unless... I don't even know. It's just, The Gray Man's just no good. It's just not a good movie. And I'd stick with 4 out of 10 on this one. Coming up at number 9 is a movie that I didn't like. It's Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I didn't talk about it, but I know a lot of people did like it. I'm the party pooper who didn't like it. I just thought all the reference humor is just so overdone, and it's just not funny when the main joke is... I know what that is. Ugly Sonic I thought was funny, just because there's more of a kind of a joke there, but the constant, like, look at all this stuff just wasn't for me. I just didn't like it. And the cell shading 3D animation they tried to pass off as 2D animation is just, why would you do that when you can just 2D animate it? Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, 3 out of 10. Coming in at number 8 is Moonfall, a movie that I knew I wasn't going to like it because it was already looking pretty bad. I wanted to have a lot of dumb fun with it. It looked like a really dumb, fun movie. But man, oh man, did it take itself too seriously and just reveal too much in the trailers. All the alien stuff should have stayed out of the marketing, and it should have just sold us on the moon is coming down, and it's a big old Roland Emmerich disaster movie. And it is a big old Roland Emmerich disaster, because this movie wasn't very good, nor did it have the entertainment dumb value that I really wanted. 3 out of 10. Coming in at number 7 is Black Adam, the superhero movie that changed the hierarchy of the DCEU. Absolutely did. My God, was this a fucking movie. It's just so uninspired. The Rock just is The Rock, and there's nothing that happens in this movie. The acting, everybody on screen is not good. Pierce Brosnan looks like he's kind of having a bit of fun, but they really tried too hard to make this movie something that it just isn't because of The Rock. It's just so orange to look at. I don't like looking at it. 3 out of 10. At number 6, we have good old Morbius. Morbius came out this year. Remember Morbius? What can I say about Morbius that hasn't been said already? It was funny to shit on this movie, even though nobody saw it. I saw it, though. You're welcome. Boring ass movie. I actually wanted to like this more than Black Adam when Black Adam was coming out, because I thought it would be funny if this was better than Black Adam, but it wasn't. I walked out of Morbius just genuinely baffled about how bad and boring it was. My goodness, the whole end credit scene too was such a slap in the face to any sort of world building or universe building anybody has ever done. It is just absurd. 2 out of 10 for Morbius. It's Morbin time, and now it's time to talk about the number 5 pick for the worst of the year, Minions 2: The Rise of Gru. It's a Minions movie. I talked about it in this video over here. It's just a fucking Minions movie. I don't have anything else I can say about it. The Gentle Minions thing came and went, but again, talked about it already. 2 out of 10 for Minions 2: The Rise of Gru. Coming in at number 4 is another movie that people seem to really fucking like that I just fucking hated, and that was Smile. It was just such a dog shit movie, and it's hilarious that I seem to be the only one who hates this movie out of everybody I've talked to about it. My older brother loved it. A lot of people online seem to love it, but I hated it. I thought it was so bad and boring. And just derivative of so many other better horror movies that have come out in the past 10 years. I just hated it. It just jump scares, and people smiling, and that's supposed to be scary, but it's not. It's goofy. 2 out of 10 for Smile. Coming in at number 3 is Disney's live-action Pinocchio. Now, there are a lot of Pinocchio movies that came out this year. I didn't see the Russian one that TikTok was talking about, but I did see Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio. I don't know what Disney did to him and Tom Hanks to get him on board with this, but they did. And it's such a fucking boring turd. And if you thought Black Adam was uninspired, this is the definition of uninspired. You see that in the dictionary, fucking Tom Hanks pops up in his dumb little Geppetto costume, where he's just running around like a lunatic. This movie was so not good and just kind of ugly. 2 out of 10. Coming in at number 2 for the fucking worst of the year was definitely the biggest waste of an hour and a half I've spent in a long time, and I'd watched the Pinocchio remake. But that is Netflix's Marmaduke, a movie that just nobody seemed to talk about except for like the day it came out. And my God, was this genuinely the ugliest thing I've seen come out of any mainstream thing ever. This was honestly the weirdest career choice Pete Davidson could have made, and that guy has just been accepting whatever he can get for no reason. Pete Davidson is just so fucking weird in this movie. Not because it's just Pete Davidson, just like, hey, it's me, I'm Marmaduke, I'm the biggest dog around. And it's the fucking ugliest character design I've seen in a movie. It is so ugly and so painfully boring. And I wish I spent my Memorial Day doing something better. You know? I could have done a million better things, and I chose to watch Marmaduke. Marmaduke, 1 out of 10. And coming in at number 1, let's just get this out of the fucking way. The worst movie I've seen all year, the movie that actually instills hatred in me, and a little known fact, the movie that inspired me to start talking about movies on the internet in the first place, is fucking Jurassic World Dominion. This movie pissed me off so much because it just squandered the perfect setup. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom had the perfect setup of just the goofiest movie about dinosaurs running amok with Chris Pratt in the real world. And Dominion comes in and just does nothing with it. It literally does nothing with it. Nothing happens with that idea at all. The movie starts, there's dinosaurs and humans, how are we going to solve it? The movie ends and there's dinosaurs and humans, and we're just not going to solve it. They create this whole other fucking convoluted main plot for no fucking reason. All the returning characters don't do shit. Jeff Goldblum already returned in the last movie, so his return means nothing. And Sam Neill and Laura Dern look like they don't want to fucking be there at all. And they pitch this as like the saga, the end of the Jurassic saga, like the fucking all the shitty sequels that have come out since fucking The Lost World Jurassic Park have actually been good. They're not. This whole franchise has been full of shit movies except for the first one. So it's just so fucking absurd how this movie fucking happened the way it did. It had this movie pisses me off so fucking much. I've never hated a movie like this since like Dark Phoenix shat on like everything the X-Men movies I've been building up to. It, even if what they were building up to was bad anyway. I fucking hated Jurassic World Dominion. It was so goddamn bad. Jurassic World Dominion, fucking 1 out of 10. Bad movie. And to forget about what that movie did to me and my life, I'm gonna move on to movies that I liked. You know, the other 20 movies that I thought were good before we move on to the top 10. So I'm just gonna go from, just like work my way up. No particular order. One of the Pixar's been quite busy as they usually are this year, and this year they gave us Lightyear, which was just fine. I talked about it in this video. It is a fine movie. There's nothing inherently terrible about it, except it really is just the most mid Pixar movie they could have made. And there's just nothing else really more to say about it. Again, I talked about it in this video already, so I'm not going to rehash it. 6 out of 10. Coming up next, Watcher is a neat little cabin fever style horror movie about a woman who goes to Romania. She lives there now, doesn't speak a lick of language, and she thinks she's being stalked by the local serial killer, and shenanigans ensue as everyone, including her fiance or husband, thinks she's fucking crazy. And it's a neat little movie. That's all I can really say about it. It's neat. The performances are good. The movie is just nicely well made. And I will say, to this movie's credit, it has one of the best fucking ending stingers I've seen in a while. The final few seconds of this movie fucking rule. 6 out of 10. Disney fumbled the ball with Strange World, I think, not because of how the movie was made. The movie is just freaking fine. It doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. But the marketing certainly was out of the ordinary. I don't know why they decided to just not market this movie as the Thanksgiving Disney movie, but they didn't, and the movie flopped because of it. And there's just no reason why it should have. It's just a perfect serviceable movie. During a time when, the biggest movie at the time is, at that point, I think was Knives Out 2 for that 1 week, and Black Panther 2, which is well over 2.5 hours, so I don't want to take any small children to see that. They'll be running around. But anyway, Strange World, yeah, it's just fine. Animation looks good. No big issues with it because it's just a serviceable movie. 6 out of 10. Next is Pray for the Devil, or The Devil's Light, which is a movie I've been looking forward to for quite some time. It was supposed to come out in like January and then February under the title The Devil's Light. And what got me hooked is this woman goes to a fucking school of exorcism. And that sounds badass. That's ticket was already bought with that in mind. And then nothing happened, and it came out in October, just quietly dropped under the name Pray for the Devil. And yeah, it's as good as I expected. Nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking. The School of Exorcism stuff is really cool. When they're learning about exorcisms, this is one of them cool movies that came out. Nothing great, but I will also not be mad at anybody who says that they fucking hate this movie, because it is just, yeah, it's just a nothing special kind of horror movie that doesn't do anything new. Coming in next is X. I saw X. A lot of people saw it. I thought it was alright. Thought it was fine. Really did like the filmmaking angle they went with. Thought that was fun. Mia Goth was great. And I look forward to seeing what Mia Goth does now that she's been kind of blowing up this year with this and Pearl. Spoiler alert, didn't see Pearl. I just wish that her agent will find her a pair of eyebrows. X, 6 out of 10. Next up, a Violent Night Christmas movie I saw this year with David Harbour playing Santa Claus. And it's a home invasion movie, and Santa Claus is here to save the day. When I first heard about this movie coming out, I thought it was going to be another, like, bad Santa, Santa's a mean man type thing, and then I saw the trailers, like, oh, Santa's a good guy that's doing all the swearing and drinking like I thought it was going to be. It's just a fun movie. If you saw the trailer and you're like, this movie looks bad, you're going to think it's bad. If you saw the trailer and thought it looked good, you're going to think it's good. There's nothing else really to say. You already know what you're going to think about it. If you hate the kind of, like, shit that this movie looks like, skip it. If it's something that you're into, you're going to have a blast. That's what Violent Night is. That's all. Doesn't do anything great. But again, I had an incredibly fun time with it. 6 out of 10. Coming up, The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, directed by Scott Derrickson. Neat little spooky movie by Scott Derrickson. Talked about it in this video. Not going to rehash anything crazy again. Just a well and good, eerie-ass 70s psycho serial killer movie. 6 out of 10. Next up is 3,000 Years of Longing, directed by George Miller. I almost forgot the name. But the trailers kind of do this movie a disservice, I feel, because they're trying to pitch this as, like, the big, crazy return from George Miller, the guy who made Mad Max. And it is a return because this is his first movie since Mad Max. And it is definitely not Mad Max. It is just solely focused on storytelling and the power of storytelling and genies. And the only flaw I see in this movie is it doesn't know when it's supposed to end. And the third act really drags on for a while. Once the genie stops telling stories and starts hanging out with Tilda Swinton more and more on a more intimate, personal level. I still liked the movie. I thought it was really, really well made, really well good. Idris Elba was awesome. And yeah, no other real complaints. I really liked the storytelling aspect of the movie about storytelling. 7 out of 10. Coming in next is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the 2.5-hour movie I mentioned earlier. It is good. It's a good movie. It's a good Marvel movie. Nothing too crazy about it. Everything they do with Namor and the Atlanteans, I thought was really cool. Yeah, a lot of chatter around this movie when it was coming out. And it is just a good effort from Marvel. Not certainly their best that I've seen this year, but also not their worst. Marvel has produced a lot worse this year, and I'll get to that in a bit here. But yeah, it was good. Everything they did involving Chadwick Boseman was really good. The fucking hardest hit I got out of this movie was the silence during the Marvel Studios logo. That wrecked me. I didn't expect that to happen. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. 7 out of 10. Death on the Nile is the detective movie that everyone forgot came out this year, and I really liked it. I've kind of discovered I'm a sucker for mystery movies, like campy, little goofy, like I'm gonna solve the case mystery movies. Despite Death on the Nile premiering in the same year as Knives Out 2, Death on the Nile was still kind of a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching Death on the Nile. It's just campy, it's goofy. We get the origin story of how Kenneth Branagh's guy got his mustache, and that's fun. That's funny. I had fun. 7 out of 10. No big issues. This is where my credibility goes to die, because I liked Halloween Ends. I really did like it. I thought the whole Corey plotline that they introduced was really good. I liked it a lot. I thought it worked wonderfully. And it is just inherently goofy, you know, just, we ought to burn the city down, and I light the match. You know, it's fun. It's goofy. I think the opening with Corey and the kitties babysitting is great, and I think there's a lot to this movie, more on a more, you know, like mythological, supernatural level that people are just ignoring because the movie didn't have Michael Myers in it, and I think that's also a good benefit. Because there are 11 other fucking Halloween movies with Michael Myers in it. And if you're in that crowd who's like, he didn't do enough killing, you can go watch Halloween Kills, where he does a lot of killing. Halloween Ends is a good movie, and I will defend it until I come to my own fucking senses and realize that it's not a good movie. 7 out of 10. Jujutsu Kaisen Movie 0 came out this year, and that was a very well animated, very beautiful looking movie. The action was very well animated and very well dynamic. It's a good anime movie. You don't get a lot of those. We've been getting good ones as of late, but as for one to be canon like movie Zero is certainly a good treat, and it is just a good movie following Yuta and his weird curse that he fucking kisses at the end of the movie. Very weird. And it'll be fun seeing how the movie connects into the series as it continues. 7 out of 10. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is another movie that came out that I liked. I didn't love it as a lot of other people did, but I still really enjoyed it. I love the way the movie's lit is really good. How they're just focusing on using their cell phones to like light their faces, light in front of them, the glow sticks. It's really creative and fun, and really emphasizes they're in a blackout and it's fucking dark. You know, there's no day for night bullshit. My big issue with Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is that Pete Davidson is in it. His character fits just fucking perfectly with the main cast and their dynamics, but it's Pete Davidson himself that is my issue, because I'm looking at Pete Davidson, scrunkly, weird looking Pete Davidson, and it's distracting because it's Pete Davidson. But regardless of that, the twist at the end I thought was incredibly funny. It is so creative and fits the narrative of the movie so well, and the themes and just the Gen Z attitude that the movie was aiming for, and I think it aimed it pretty fucking well. If you hate Gen Z, I think you'll like it. If you hate Gen Z, I think you'll hate it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, you know. 7 out of 10. Another point against me for being a good film reviewer is that I also liked Thor: Love and Thunder. I talked about it in this video here, but I had a shit ton of fun during this movie. I just thought it was really stupid and enjoyable, and I was like giggling like a little idiot during the movie. There's some jokes that definitely don't land, but the whole God City was really cool. Again, I talked about it in this video. You can go watch that if you want my full opinion. 8 out of 10. The screaming goats, I thought, were funny the entire 2-hour runtime. I'm not even kidding. They kept screaming and I kept laughing. That's not a joke. Coming up next is Bullet Train. I don't remember if I actually made the video talking about this movie or if I didn't, but if I did, here it is. If I didn't, here's this. Anyway, Bullet Train was really fucking fun. Yeah, it's just like Violent Night. It's what you'd expect out of a movie like Bullet Train. It's incredibly stylish, even if it is overly, just over the top with how stylish it is, just to the point where it's just meaningless. That can be an issue for a lot of people, but I didn't mind it up until a certain point. I really liked all the characters that were in the movie, especially Bad Bunny and Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. I thought were great. Yeah, it's just a ton of fun. Even if the dialogue is really fucking bad when they're just like, oh shit dicks, fuck nuggets, ooh, you know, it's that Deadpool 2 writing and dialogue that just shouldn't have left 2018, that somehow managed to survive the pandemic, and that'll definitely turn a lot of people off of this movie. But I still had a wild ride with it. It's a wild ride, to say the least. 8 out of 10. Another movie that I snuck in end of the year was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and my god, was this movie way better than I think anyone anticipated. The animation is honestly incredible, with how stylish and dynamic it is, as well as just the really mature themes about death. You know, Puss is on his he's on his last legs. He's dead. He's got one life left. That's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. And he's got to fucking deal with that. It's really fucking good. Just with how it handles like these themes of death and, you know, living life to the fullest, living life while you've still got it. On top of that, again, the animation is hands down some of DreamWorks' fucking best. For absolutely no reason. They went off the fucking chain with how this movie looks, and I think that is a huge benefit for the studio going forward. If their movies stop looking all like they're the same movie, kind of like what DreamWorks and Pixar have been doing for the better half of like 10 fucking years. 8 out of 10. Next is The Batman. I watched The Batman, and The Batman is really good. The Batman is a really good movie. I liked it a lot. The Gotham City has never felt ickier and stickier. You know, there are rats all over the place, a lot of LED screens, really making it feel like a modern metropolis. And it's so icky. This movie reminds me a lot of Seven and how gross and icky Seven was. And I think the biggest props I have to give this movie is Paul Dano and Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell just completely just disappears under that suit and that heavy accent. And I find myself quoting just the "I got you" line with my coworkers all the fucking time. He was fantastic, and Paul Dano was genuinely kind of fucking terrifying as the Riddler. Even if like the Zodiac Killer angle they went is honestly kind of parody on what a dark and gritty Riddler would be, it works so fucking well. It's a really fucking good movie, really good detective movie. They do detective stuff in a Batman movie, and it's just really fucking good. The film bros do love it a lot, and I like it. 8 out of 10. Pixar's Turning Red. It came out this year as well, and that was all the best Pixar movie to come out this year. It is just so enjoyable and so full of heart and youthful energy that I have lost. It's a step up in terms of animation stylization from Pixar. They do a couple things different, and it is just a very fucking enjoyable and fun kids movie. It's really good. I loved it. I thought it was great. I don't know how further I can go into it, but 8 out of 10. Bones and All is the new Luca Guadagnino movie, but another movie where like I think the trailers do this movie kind of a disservice, where they really emphasize that this is a horror romance movie when really it's a romance movie that happens to be about cannibals. And it was really fucking good. It's a road trip movie where they have to stop every so often to just eat a guy. And Timothée Chalamet is great. Mark Rylance is fucking terrifying. And Taylor Russell is also just fantastic. It is a beautiful movie to look at. It is just so fucking good, and despite me saying it's like not really that much of a horror movie, when Mark Rylance is on screen, he literally eats the scene. He steals it, and he does it in the most terrifying fucking way possible. 8 out of 10. The Northman is one of them also just really fucking cool movies that came out. This movie was so cool. And it is just balls to the wall, grit, mud, and what you'd expect from a big budget, $90 million Robert Eggers flick. It's not as action-packed as the trailers make it look out to be, but man, did I still have a fucking blast. I think to summarize this up, I'm just gonna like quote the one guy in the back corner of the theater. When I saw this movie, during the big climactic fight, I just hear one man go, and yeah, The Northman's really fucking cool, and it rips, and it shreds, and it tears. And it's so enjoyable. I loved it. It's such a good movie. 8 out of 10. Cannot wait for the next Robert Eggers flick. So before I move on to the top 10 best movies of the year, I'm going to take a little sidestep and talk about the TV shows that I watched this year. In no particular order, of course, with a cute little grading scale. On top of it, these are all the shows I saw. Of course, these are all the shows that I didn't see, or at least the big ones that people might want me to talk about. Frankly, didn't see them. Honestly, watching TV never was my top priority. But I plan to change that going into 2023. Starting off, by the way, this is going to include anime too, so hold your horses in the comments. Starting Shorzy, the Letterkenny spin-off about the character who's never shown his face, Shorzy, was honestly quite a big surprise. I really liked it. I've seen like the first few seasons of Letterkenny, never been able to like push past it, but Shorzy was a good change of pace. It's 6 episodes long, and Jared Kiso really shines as Shorzy, because I never thought he'd actually be able to play a different character that isn't Wayne. and I think he's got a lot of chops as a good character actor in the future. I can't wait to see what he does, if he shows up as a new character in a different Letterkenny spinoff, or if he just starts showing up in random comedies from time to time, despite how much of a farmer he looks like. But yeah, Shoresy was really good. It was really funny. And yeah, Jared Kiso and the rest of the cast really shine bright. 7 out of 10. Definitely looking forward to a second season. Miss Marvel came out, and I thought it was fine. It was just fine. I know a lot of people liked it. I certainly know a few people hated it. But I thought it was just a good coming of age story. Good coming of age superhero movie, you know. One thing I do miss about, you know, some of these Marvel movies and stuff, they just stopped focusing on a character learning about their powers and how to use them and how to deal with them, you know, and that's something Spider-Man definitely missed out on. So it was exciting to see Kamala get her powers and learn how to use them, even if the middle of the show when she does go to Pakistan felt like the most just empty for me. I didn't like those episodes. I much preferred when she was in Jersey City, like learning about her powers and learning how to deal with family life and her powers and trying to go to the fucking Comic-Con or whatever. And I enjoyed that. And I thought it was just, yeah, it was all right. 6 out of 10. She-Hulk is next. That's the other Marvel show that came out. I never finished it. I stopped watching the week before Daredevil showed up because, frankly, I just couldn't be bothered. It felt like a homework assignment to watch She-Hulk week to week. I will say the episodes I did enjoy the most were the courtroom episodes when, you know, I thought that's what I thought the show was going to be. I thought the show was just going to be her doing lawyer stuff in the courtroom, like helping Wong with his magician's case, helping herself keep the copyrights of her name, She-Hulk. And I was like, yeah, this is fun. I like this, you know, courtroom sitcom. I wanted that. And then they were like, nah, but she's a superhero, so she's got to stop evil people from stealing her blood, and she's got to do all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want that. That's dumb. That wasn't good. It wasn't good. And I didn't even see the finale, but I heard about it, and I just groaned at just the idea of what the fucking finale was, and I just really put a sour taste in my mouth. You can discredit me for saying that if you want, that I never actually finished it, so my opinion is invalid. But man, oh man, did I just not like watching She-Hulk until the very end. So 3 out of 10. Just don't fucking care about it. Up next is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. Yeah, the Netflix release plan was fucking atrocious, releasing 12 episodes at a time over the course of a year. Why would they do that? I don't know. Other people talk about that on YouTube. I'm here to talk about how good it was, and it was so good. Stone Ocean was actually the first manga I read front to back, frankly, because the release schedule pissed me off, so I was like, I need to finish this. So it was a really fucking good adaptation. It was really fucking good. And my god, the Made in Heaven arc was fucking fantastic. The Bohemian Rhapsody arc was great too, despite them having to take the obvious creative choices they had to make for copyright reasons. It was good JoJo's. It's good JoJo's. You know, it certainly doesn't compare to the fucking peak that is Diamond is Unbreakable and Golden Wind, but man, Stone Ocean is so good. It was really fucking good. The voice acting is just tremendous, and it certainly did not disappoint me in the slightest. I hope for Steel Ball Run. 8 out of 10. Up next is Moon Knight, which is the Oscar Isaac Marvel show. And speaking of Oscar Isaac, he certainly carries this thing on his fucking back. Same with Ethan Hawke. Those two were definitely the biggest highlights of the show. Same with F. Murray Abraham's voice acting as Khonshu. I thought, you know, he's just having a good old time in the booth, not having to do much. And yeah, I'm a full-on Moon Knight supporter. I thought the pilot episode was fantastic. It was exciting watching the show week to week for the 6-episode run. And I look forward to seeing Moon Knight in the future. One big positive I will say too before moving on is that Moon Knight works so fucking well because it is just its own self-contained story. We don't get those in Marvel anymore. Everything has to connect somehow. Everything has to be a part of something. Everything has to lead up to something. And we got a sequel, everything. Moon Knight was like, no. And I was like, yes. 8 out of 10. Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 dropped in January all the way back last year. And man, oh man, was that some fucking peak television right there. Holy shit. That was a great watch. Genuinely excited for whenever Season 4 Part 3 comes out. Excited to know what the ending is. Excited to like it, despite all the comments that everybody hated it. I'm excited to be the contrarian on that. Season 4 Part 2 definitely gave some of the biggest shocks I've felt in watching an anime in quite a while. That's a lie. I've been watching One Piece, and that's also fucking goated. But Season 4 Part 2 certainly is the show's biggest peak so far. The way everything has been building up and connecting and playing out is honestly incredible. My opinion turned around like so fucking fast on Gabi's character. I love Gabi now. I'm a full supporter of her. And I hope she makes it out. Okay. 10 out of fucking 10. Next up is another big surprise of the year for me, and that is Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the show that saved the game, and the show that was, again, absolutely fantastic. Its short but sweet 10-episode run was great. I loved following the cast with David, Rebecca, Lucy, Kiwi, Big Man, Big Woman, Long Arms Man. It was just such a fucking good show, and it represented everything that the cyberpunk universe is about. And it is, honestly, I think Trigger's best. It's Trigger's best show that they've done, and I wish we would get a season 2, but instead I'll just have to cope and just play Cyberpunk on repeat and wait for the DLC to come out. 10 out of freaking 10 for Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Werewolf by Night is the first Marvel special presentation, and yeah, it disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I think they just should have committed more into leaning the way with like the campy little black and white featurette that they wanted to do. I think Michael Giacchino can direct more. You know, I'm excited to see like what he does next if it's not for Marvel. But Werewolf by Night, yeah, pretty fucking mid. I think if they like shot it on film, went more practical effects with it, actually made it feel like a campy 1940s horror flick like Creature of the Black Lagoon, instead of just a Marvel movie but color corrected to be black and white, I think that would have benefited majorly, even if they did nothing else to the story. The hallway fight scene, gotta talk about that. Gotta talk about those lovely, lovely hallway fight scenes. It was honestly really cool because it was backlit by the closing door and it was just focused on the closing door. I thought that was awesome. But nothing else really impressed me. The special's not even lit to be shown in black and white. So it just reeks of like, yeah, post-production decision. And yeah, I just wasn't impressed with it. 4 out of 10 for Werewolf by Night. Chainsaw Man finally came out, and my god, was it worth the fucking wait. Chainsaw Man was so good. The voice acting was just tremendous. It is so fun. And it was just a blast watching it week to week. Like the character interactions with, you know, like Denji and Himona, everything with like the Eternity Devil arc, you know, Makima showing up all the time and doing her weird things. It was great. I loved it. I loved every episode. There was not a weak point for me in Chainsaw Man. A few gripes. I'm gonna be that asshole who complains about like the 3D animation, but only when I felt like it was used unnecessarily, right? I'm never to complain about 3D animation in anime. I think it's, you know, an effective tool if it's like blended in and used well. But sometimes when a dude's just standing there and he has to turn, he didn't have to be 3D animated. But again, that is just the smallest nitpick I have. Chainsaw Man, 9 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special happened, and that was also kind of underwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. It was just another Marvel special presentation that just didn't impress. I didn't care for it much at all. Dave Bautista I thought was fine. Same with everybody else. Kevin Bacon, I'm just happy he is already canon of the universe as himself, so he doesn't have to get tied into any like long-term contract before he fucking kicks it. The set design I thought was great because it looks like an actual movie instead of like the usual Marvel bad poopy looking green screen that we've been getting, because they actually built sets for the holiday special, and it was just fine. I didn't care for it much at all. It was 45 minutes long, and even then I felt like I could have done something a little bit better. 4 out of 10. Now, these two next shows are honestly the best fucking TV I've seen all year. And that is HBO Max's The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder, and I talked about it in this video, and I thought it was just fantastic. It's honestly the best piece of reality TV I think I've ever seen. Despite its short season run, I was glued to the screen. I could not believe the things that were happening and the steps that were being taken and the things that were the cause of the things that were happening. But again, I remember going pretty deep into it, talking about it in this video. And my god, was it just a perfect fucking show. 10 out of 10. And capping off the TV shows is House of the Dragon, good old Hot D, the return to Game of Thrones, the return to Westeros, and man oh man, was this another show that had me glued week to week. This was everything I wanted it to be, and even then it fucking exceeded, because I didn't think the Game of Thrones spin-off show, the Game of Thrones prequel show, I didn't think it was going to be that good. I thought it was going to be alright. I thought they were going to, rely a bit too much on, callbacks and stuff like that. But, goddamn, did they exceed so hard. Paddy Considine as King Viserys honestly became, my favorite Game of Thrones character ever. Even beating, Tyrion Lannister. And then Ned Stark and the other Starks. He really shined the fucking brightest out of the cast, and his character arc was the most gripping and the thing that kept me talking about the show week to week with my coworkers and my friends, because we just loved seeing just his mental and physical decay with age and with wearing the crown. It was so good. And I'm so excited to see where the show goes. I love me a good show where the entire first season is a prologue. It was the best television I watched this year. It is everything I want a show like Hot D to be. And it was just genuinely fantastic. And so much so as it just impulse bought the Steelbook 4K, because it'll sit nicely next to the Game of Thrones box set I have. Fantastic show. 10 out of 10. And with that out of the way, with all those TV shows done and diddled, it is time to move to the 10 best movies of 2022, in my humble opinion. Coming up at number 10, I'm just going to get straight into it. Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw it twice in the same weekend, both in IMAX 3D, and loved it both times. This is one of them just cool-ass fucking movies that I keep talking about. This is inherently a cool movie. Yeah, the story is just as bare bones as it can be, but man oh man, am I here for the cool science fiction world building, that I just don't see other films do. It is just genuinely an enjoyable movie. The 3 hour and 15 minute runtime was just not an issue for me. I thought it was just fine. The movie moved so well, and yeah, it feels like a nature documentary, but that's the point. I'm gonna be that asshole that says, yeah, that's how the movie is supposed to be. It is just such a good fucking movie to look at. I thought it was fantastic. I loved every second of it, looking at it, being in the world, and I'll defend the Avatar movies. Why the fuck not? 9 out of 10. Coming in at number 9, another one where I might lose a lot of credit, it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I just think this movie rules. It is so cool. It rips. This movie is just so awesome. I love the things it does. Despite it coming across as like the big Marvel event of the year. We're going across the multiverses. We're gonna meet all these cool characters, and then it doesn't do any of that. I was like, perfect. It just focuses in on Doctor Strange and Wanda, and keeps it to a minimum. Like, yeah, Mr. Fantastic and Patrick Stewart show up, but they don't matter, so they get killed off 5 minutes later. I was like, perfect. Keep that going throughout the rest of the movie, please. And I just loved it. I thought Sam Raimi did a fantastic job with the choices he made. I'm a Doctor Strange defender, and this movie is just such a good fucking time. I was grinning ear to ear when I rewatched it. 9 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic Marvel movie. One of their best, dare I say. Coming in at number 8 is Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, which is everything I wanted it to be. I love the first Knives Out movie to death. I think it is just a new, timeless classic, very homely, very cozy mystery movie. And Knives Out 2 kind of takes that extra step to make it bigger and better, and I think it does pretty well at doing that. It's certainly not better than the first one, but it is still an incredibly fun time to watch. I thought the entire cast was fantastic. Dave Bautista especially shined, and it is just another pleasant mystery movie from Rian Johnson, and I am so happy to see all the goofy, dumb Twitter posts talking about how Benoit Blanc would react in this situation with the Muppets. I know a lot of people, sometimes have their issues with Glass Onion. It doesn't feel it's certainly not as timeless as the first one. It dates itself pretty hard in 2020. It just doesn't have the good as dynamic with the family compared to like this group of friends. And to their credit, I do think this movie does weaken itself a little bit by putting Benoit Blanc as the main character instead of someone like Ana de Armas in the first one. But regardless of all that, I still had a shit ton of fun watching Knives Out 2, and I'm going to give Glass Onion a Knives Out Mystery a 9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. Coming in at number 7 is the movie I've been waiting literally 5 years for, and that is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I heard about this movie, just like murmurs of it sprinkled through Reddit years and years and years ago, thinking like, this is the movie Del Toro wants to make the most. He's campaigning to get this movie made. It's going to be stop motion. It's going to be set in the fascist rise of Italy, and it's going to be dark. And I'm like, please give me that movie, Guillermo. Please, please, please. And he finally delivered it, and it was just as fantastic as I hoped it would be. The animation is breathtaking. Ewan McGregor leads the movie the hardest as Jiminy Cricket. And my God, did this movie not fuck around when it was dealing with its fascist themes. I was quite not ready for people to do those fun little salutes you don't want to see out in public. But regardless, again, this is just such a beautiful movie. It is just truly fantastic. And it's going to be a tough year for the animation category at the Oscars. I hope they don't fuck it up by giving it to Lightyear. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio gets a 9 out of 10. Certainly the best Pinocchio adaptation I think we've gotten since 1943. Coming in at number 6 is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Movie I talked about in this one here. And it is just, again, such a heartwarming, fantastic, wholesome experience to watch. I'm not going to repeat many of the things I said already because there's nothing else for me to say other than it is just such a warm, inviting movie. Its documentary style really gives it that personal edge, and it was genuinely just a fantastic experience and just such a heartwarming and heartbreaking time at the movies. 10 out of 10. Coming in at number 5 is a movie I didn't think I was going to like as much as I did, but that was The Banshees of Inisherin, probably the only like major Oscar movie that I've got on my list, aside from like what Bones and all and Pinocchio. But The Banshees of Inisherin, directed by Martin McDonagh, with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, was just as every bit of fantastic as I honestly think it deserves to be. You know, this movie gets hyped up a lot because I genuinely think it deserves it. This movie was just a fantastic look at just a friendship falling apart, you know, just absolutely out of nowhere, and the shenanigans that ensue because of it. And when I say like these character interactions are just petty and just unwarranted and just absolutely hilarious, and tragic, it's absolutely true. You know, I recommend this movie to a lot of people. I think it is genuinely a fantastic movie. I do hope Colin Farrell takes away the lead actor statue for this at the award shows. If not, maybe give it to Brendan Fraser, because I didn't see The Whale yet. But man, oh man, Banshees of Inisherin, what a movie! 10 out of 10. You'd be hard pressed to hear that I'm a huge fan of *Malignant*. I think *Malignant* is a fantastic movie, and I think it is a great way to bring in the number 4 best movie of the year, and that is *Barbarian*. I am such a Barbarian fan. I love Barbarian to death. It has become a consistent topic of conversation at my family holiday dinners. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all we were talking about is Barbarian. Barbarian is such a good movie. I love it to death. Barbarian is... I am the biggest fan of Barbarian on planet Earth, and I will not stop until everyone agrees with me that Barbarian is just fantastic. It is so good. I love it to death. If you somehow haven't seen Barbarian yet, stop watching the video. Actually, like, pause it, open a new tab, and then watch it, and then come back to hear me talk about the rest of the movie. Because it is such a fucking wild adventure of a horror movie. And something that I am excited to know that we are getting more of shit like this. It is just a wild movie that I cannot describe in detail because I don't want to spoil anything. All I can really say is just Baby. Baby. I loved it. I loved it to death. It's, one of my favorite movies of the year, and honestly of all time. I think about this movie constantly. 10 out of 10, Barbarian. Coming in at number 3 is Jordan Peele's Nope, the UFO movie that I didn't know I needed, despite me being the big UFO paranormal nut that I am. Nope, I thought was fantastic. The cinematography was great. The performances from Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya were fantastic. I talked about it in this video over here again. But Nope was just fantastic. I loved it so much. It is, everything I wanted. Everything I've been missing, in the little UFO-shaped hole in my movie-going heart. I thought it was fantastic. I know some people, personally, that didn't like it as much as me, but they're dumb idiots anyway. 10 out of 10. Nope is awesome. Perfect summer movie. Coming in at number 2 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And when I talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, I want to reiterate that I think Daniels are a directing pair that honestly should have been making a lot more movies by now. I saw Swiss Army Man in theaters and I loved it, and that was 6 fucking years ago already. Honestly, Everything Everywhere All at Once is the sophomore effort to beat all sophomore efforts, I think, honestly. It's pretty impossible to believe that, a pair of dudes went from directing Daniel Radcliffe rolling around in the dirt with his ass out, farting everywhere, to one of the best movies of the year, and for a lot of people of all time. Like, there's no shortage of high praise for Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is just genuinely a fantastic movie. And the rock scene with just the total silence and the text is honestly one of the best scenes of the year, I think. It is just such a beautiful moment of the movie between mother and daughter, and it's fucking hilarious at the same time. 10 out of 10 movie. You've heard everybody say their praises about it. And finally, for another movie everybody has been saying their praises about it, another cool fucking movie is Top Gun Maverick. My favorite movie of the year is just Tom Cruise flying around in a plane, and it is such a joy to know that this movie was good. I've never considered myself a big fan of Top Gun. The first one, I thought it was just alright, but when my coworker came up to me and said, like, dude, Top Gun Maverick is absolutely fantastic and just the best time you can have at the movies right now. And I just couldn't believe him. I couldn't believe him that the anticipation had been worth it, with this movie being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and for it to finally come out and it genuinely to be worth the wait was absolutely fantastic. Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, and Glenn Powell command the screen. You know, Glenn Powell is so hot. And just the dog fights in the third act, the flight sequences, it's just so fucking real because it is real. You know, you don't get movies that take that extra step, going balls to the wall. Who cares if we blow up ourselves on accident? We're here to make a movie for the people. And as fucking insane and psychotic as Tom Cruise is, especially to like the people around him sometimes, I commend the man for, you know, taking the extra step in forcing his co-stars to learn how to fly a plane, to learn how to operate cameras in a cockpit, and to jump off a cliff riding a motorcycle into a base jump. My God, this man is a maniac, and he definitely deserves the top spot. Movie of the year for me. 10 out of 10 movie. Best fucking movie of the year. Those are the movies I saw in 2022. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, but before I go, I do want to give the quick rundown of some of the stuff I am very excited to see this year. And, you know, it's not, you know, in any particular order. It's just some things that I definitely am looking forward to. Of course, who's not looking forward to Barbie? You know, that shit looks awesome. That trailer dropped, and I was blown away by how just actually good it looks in terms of its, like, production and just absurdity that Academy darling Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are making a movie for fucking Mattel. Oppenheimer looks awesome. I'm much like many men who get into film. Christopher Nolan is always that guy who gets us into film in the first place, if not Scorsese or Tarantino. But I will be a Nolan stan through and through, despite me not being as hardcore as the true Nolan fans. But that still doesn't mean I'm not fucking excited for Oppenheimer. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I am stoked for. I am a huge stan of the Mission Impossible movies. I think they are all fantastic and just the best action franchise we have right now. Nothing else gets to compare to them because they were just so cool and just so committed to the perfect time at the movies, with Tom Cruise just risking his life for my entertainment personally. And Tom, thanks. Dune Part 2 is going to be cool. I'm excited to see that. I like Dune. Who didn't? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse looks great. I am excited to see that and to jump back into that Spider-Man world, see where that goes. Dungeons and Dragons, I just more have like a weird interest in because Chris Pine seems to be getting stuck in purgatory of weird roles, like Don't Worry Darling and now a Dungeons and Dragons movie. I feel bad for the guy. I think he needs our help. The Mario movie genuinely looks good except for Chris Pratt, but that's all people talk about on the internet, so I'm going to blow past it. Beau is Afraid is the new Ari Aster flick, so that's enough to get me to sit down. Creed 3 genuinely looks exciting, despite my, like, alright feelings for Creed 2. Of course, there's a new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. I wasn't impressed with French Dispatch at all, but I'll still see his next movie. John Wick 4 should be exciting. Knock at the Cabin comes out, like, next month, and I'm genuinely excited for that. I'll always support a good M. Night movie. Whenever those get released, even if they are gonna be bad or not, I don't care. I'm gonna see it, especially if Dave Bautista's in it. I'm excited. Magic Mike: The Last Dance is a movie I didn't know I needed, because that the last dance in Magic Mike's Last Dance is going to be 30 minutes of the runtime. And that has me excited, so I'm going to watch the Magic Mike movies for the first time later. And there's a movie, I guess, called 80 for Brady that comes out about four old women who try to go to the Super Bowl to meet Tom Brady. I didn't see the trailer. I don't think I need to. I'm kind of sold on the premise alone. So I'll be there to see that. Uh, Me personally and like my friend Vince, we're the only two people on planet Earth excited for Book Club: The Next Chapter. We're both huge fans of the movie Book Club, which is a movie about old women discovering their sex lives through 50 Shades of Grey when that's introduced for their book club. And man, oh man, is that a story for another day? Long story short, yeah, we watched it in a theater full of old women and had a blast. And now there's a sequel, so I'm excited for that. And then yeah, there's Plane, a Roland Emmerich movie that Roland Emmerich didn't make, with Gerard Butler. Plane looks stupid, and I hope it fills that gap that Moonfall couldn't. So those are the things I talked about. I talked about the worst movies, the best movies, the movies, the shows, and the things for the future. I'm here to stay. Hopefully, we'll see how long I can go delivering a video anytime I see a movie or finish a show or finish a game. But I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for coming back. And yeah, watching the content, listening to me ramble into a microphone with a Tom standing next to me here for however long this recording is going to be, however long this final cut is going to be. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll be making reviews for movies again. Bye.